We are finally here. We are at the finals once again for a Duels of Runeterra. This one, number 16. And again, for those of you who might have just came to this finals video just to see the finals, which, you know, I don't blame you, but definitely try to check out the other videos because there were some hella good matches. We had some elusive Bilgewater Ionia shenanigans going on, so definitely check it out. But this is a new format tournament. So that means that instead of the usual 3-deck one-man tournament that we get, we actually have a 1-deck 15-card side deck strategy where between games 1 and 2, the opponent is able, or both opponents are able to side out cards. Between games 2 and 3, you cannot. So there's basically one opportunity to side, and that's it. So definitely an interesting change on the typical format that we have for the tournament. As always, in the description below, you will find any information you need for the tournament. You can join the Discord server. This is hosted by Liquid, Team Liquid. So thanks to Team Liquid, as always, for providing the sponsorship and the money for the prize pool for the tournament. So good stuff. And thank you to all the tournament organizers, as per usual, for putting this bad boy together and doing everything behind the scenes to make everything run nice and smooth. But as for the finals, myself and Boulevard casting, as per usual. So strap yourselves in and prepare for Bruised by God, the one and only, looking for his second Duels of Runeterra victory versus Xiramus, otherwise known as Brachkata, who is also no stranger to the top cut of Duels of Runeterra or any tournament for that matter. So let's go ahead and get into Game 1, BBG versus Xiramus.
Oh my god, these are so scrambled. So far, the only difference that I've noticed is that BBG doesn't play.
And it does look like we are about to get over into the game. BBG versus Brachkata, Game 1 of Duels of Runeterra 16, the Grand Finals. Yep.
Is this the part where you actually share
I
the
got
screen?
you. I got you.
Okay. I was about to say, we hopped
this
into
wasn't
this
for
call.
nothing, I promise. Here we go. So much multitasking. Feels good, man. Feels good. And here we go. Let's get started.
So here's something I want to mention before we get too deep into this. We were just talking this morning about CDS Fall, a Brazilian player who was finally the first NA server primary player to pick up a win on Europe. If Xiramus wins, that is the third European to pick up an NA victory, and that would just kind of feel bad on the one weekend where we actually get NA to finally pick up a win on the EU server. If they then just trade it back
BBG,
to us,
you got to represent for NA here. BBG on the top of the screen. We can see his second hand there. And yeah, it would be interesting. BBG has not won a Duels of Runeterra in a little while, I don't believe. Was it 12?
No, but if he does win this, I believe he will tie Winding God for Duels of Runeterra wins. I believe that BBG has 2 and Winding God has 3.
So that's a thing.
Yes. Winding God was just like a quick back-to-back and then dipped. He didn't dip. He got second a little bit later.
Winding God,
on,
equally as good of a competitor here. And we do see both players already having Lee Sin in hand, so that's going to be an interesting game here. I mean, we do already see, though, Brachkata has 2 Zenith Blades in hand, so that might be the difference maker here. 2 Nopifies.
What BBG is Nopify?
This is what this game is going to be. I hope you know that. It's going to be, well, hey, Xiramus has this. Well, nope, there's a deny. Well, hey, BBG has this. Well, no, there's a Nopify. Oh, boy.
I've played a lot of games like this. I don't think I've cast a lot of games like this because it's been a while since we saw super counterspell heavy decks. Even in the previous iterations of the Lee Sin Targon Mirror, Bastion kind of came up a lot, but there wasn't a lot of things that your opponent would have to pop the Bastion. So it was just kind of a one and done. Okay, that's going to stop the Lee Sin ability. Now with Nopify, an extra layer of interaction has been added in. This is looking real bad for Xiramus so far.
Ooh, yeah, BBG just going all out aggressive, and this is kind of how BBG was playing it before as well. In many of the other games that we saw BBG playing this deck, just opting to just go all aggro, go all face. We'll see if it works out for him again here.
Xiramus is looking like he might pass this and just eat 11 damage, level up the Zed, go for an attack with my Lee Sin on the following turn.
We have, looks like, thinking about skipping the block, which is gonna, I don't think, be good. I think you have to block one of these Zeds here. Here we go. Okay.
I just loved the implication of like maybe we let the Zed go through, but yeah, I'm gonna throw my Lee Sin up in front of his Mentor of Stones. And I do think that the gems are what you want here for Xiramus. It's a little bit better than the Mentor, just giving you that sort of clean first turn activator that plays around the Notify. Because if you try to jam a Zenith Blade, it gets Notified. You try to jam another one, it gets Notified. All of a sudden, you're not going to have the barrier for your Lee Sin.
And all right, yeah, Zed just getting buffed up even more. And, so I already see in chat as well some people mentioning Zenith Blade being bad in the mirror. I mean, at least in this particular case, it seems pretty bad because of the deny to Nopify in hand. Basically, anything that's not burst speed is probably just not going to get played this game, or at least is not going to be prioritized to get played. And, all right, well, here we go. Just as I say that, here's the Zenith Blade, and that's going to get a quick nope out of BBG.
Oh, I mean, it's not like there's really any a sort of open attacking punishes in this matchup. I mean, even if Concussive Palm were still a staple in these decks, you can still just stun the attacker. But there was a Hush top deck on the side of BBG, and that even turns off the potential for this Lee Sin to come in and kill the Zed. This could be a disastrous attack turn for Xiramus. This could very well just basically
be
the end
win by BBG. It's interesting. Brachkata had a great hand against every other matchup, but in the mirror match, because BBG happened to draw 2 Nopify and a deny, I think 100% BBG is going to have the advantage here, just because he will be able to shut down things like Zenith Blade or anything else like actually we don't actually have Will of Ionia main decked, so it's really just Zenith Blade. Zenith Blade is literally the only spell that BBG can deny, I believe, in this deck. Oh, and deny. And technically the deny.
Well, and Notify.
Notify. No, you can't.
Wait, you can't
no. You can deny and Notify, but you can't Notify and deny.
Yeah. I didn't know you were just talking about cancel in general, because I mean, deny does still come in big for the Lee Sin kick.
Exactly.
The Dragon's Rage that he does add to the
So
deck.
I think that's literally the only thing you're going to be saving deny for, and then I think that we're gonna probably see. Now it's interesting with the side deck. Do you side deck out denies and Notifies, or like probably the Notifies?
Not denies. Notifies, maybe. I'd actually have to take a look at the side deck and see if there's any like big blowout for 3 or less
There
mana.
it is. There's the Hush that we were just talking about.
We do have the Pale Cascade, though, and there's no answer for this on the side of BBG, so at least Xiramus is going to get to take out the Zed. But now we have, BBG has the Lee Sin, Xiramus has the Zed, the tables have
and we've talked about this so many times in not mirror matches, but mirror matches, where Zed feels good early, but then once both players have a Lee Sin on the field, Zed suddenly doesn't matter. And that's kind of like we had Brachkata had the Lee Sin early. That would have been enough, but fortunately for BBG, he was able to get that Lee Sin to trade with the Zed, which is what you want in this matchup. And now BBG will likely be able to get this Lee Sin to stick.
So I took a look at the side decks real quick while we've got a little bit of a lull in the action here. There is a reason for BBG specifically to keep in Notify, and that is that Xiramus sides 3 copies of Retreat. And Retreat is something that in the mirror was previously a rather uninteractable way to stop the Lee Sin kick. It's mana inefficient on deny. They can't Bastion through it, but you get to pull back whatever unit is getting kicked. You can Notify that and push through the lethal. I don't know how concerned BBG is about that, so we'll have to see what he actually does end up doing. The Spacey Sketcher also makes BBG's Notifies better than Xiramus's, as you can pull a couple of spells that could get Notified, like Crescent Strike or Moonglow.
Yeah, and all right, this is an attack. This is a decent amount of damage represented from BBG too, which means it's going to be that much easier for BBG to set up some sort of OTK with this Lee Sin if we get overwhelmed, or maybe even not overwhelmed. Now with Brachkata being at 9, I mean, we do have guiding touches to heal up a little bit. I mean, we could just get a really strong Dragon's Rage for the game coming up here soon. So we'll see if that's the case, or if Brachkata doesn't have denies in hand, so it can't actually stop a Dragon's Rage if it does come down.
Yeah, he's pretty screwed.
That bad, huh? That bad?
It's not looking good. I mean, we're at a point where the Lee Sin is more or less online for BBG, and you have a Zed to try and contest it, which doesn't work.
Yep. Oh, man. This is rough for Xiramus here.
Yeah, and now BBG picks up another Z as well, so just has sort of all of these tools available. And Xiramus just sitting on a bunch of useless counter spells. This deep med, even just too big of a mana commitment to try and get off in a matchup like this. Going to discard one of these Nopifies to the Spacey Sketcher. And I don't know, I've never actually been the biggest fan of the Spacey Sketcher in this Lee Sin deck. It does add a little bit of utility, but generally I felt like I wanted to play the gems more than I wanted to discard them for a 3-cost or less
So
Celestial.
I do feel like sometimes this Lee Sin deck, and not just because of the gems, but just in general, can have some bad hands as far as just getting clogged up with things that you can't use, right? If you don't draw your Zed or the Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So I do like it, being able to discard those cards for theoretically something that's more useful. It's also good against aggro, obviously, when you get something like the Serpent. So,
yeah.
But I agree. I don't really like Spacey Sketcher in general as a card. It's just like, it feels so underwhelming because the Celestials that you have to pick from are all the lower cost ones as well. But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll get those maybe subbed out with the side deck, you think? I'm not sure. I really don't think that they're that useful.
I definitely don't think this is the matchup where you want it, unless you're really specifically trying to get that. Is it Moonlight or Moonglow?
Moonglow.
The one with the spell shield.
Moonglow.
Moonglow. Okay. I'd been calling it Moonglow this entire time, and I was just starting to get self-conscious that maybe that was the 0 mana card. I was wrong, but I mean, that's just another Nopitify target for your opponent, which, as we had mentioned, BBG might keep those in. Xiramus might have to keep them in just to contest BBG's Nopifies. It'll be a little bit interesting, and that's why that's one of the things that I didn't like about the side deck format. We don't have a production team. I don't get to know what these players sided in or out. I have no idea. I can only guess. And we had a lot of people tell us, "Oh, well, you can look at a side deck."
Excuse me.
No, I can't. I don't know what this Nopify.
What am I? What am I?
To.
Huh? I am the production team. No.
What am I not?
I knew you were gonna say that too. What the heck? He was in the
Actually, I think he was in. He didn't make it, but yeah.
Oh, man. But we do see Dragon's Rages starting to come out here from BBG, and this is not looking good for Brajkata. We do have, we could deep med for deny. I don't think you really want to go ahead and deny this yet, or if you don't have to. It looks like, okay, yep, and suddenly this is lethal. So now you might have to dig. Nope, we're going to go with the Guiding Touch. Yeah.
I mean, you can Guiding Touch. You can Bastion to deny the kick. There's a lot that Xiramus can actually do to survive here, and does find his own Lee Sin. And BBG kind of gassing out here. Only has counterspells left available, and we've seen Lee Sin players in these predicaments before, where you don't have proactive spells to play to give your Lee Sin challenger and actually go for the lethal. And that is one of the reasons that I still like Bastion in the main instead of going, because we've seen a couple players go 3 deny, 3 Nopify, and 0 copies of Bastion in the main. I do still like at least having one, so you have that proactive protection spell. But I mean, with that Nopify in hand, the Zenith Blade isn't going off, and without the Zenith Blade going off, I don't think you're either killing your opponent's Lee Sin or winning this game. But actually, we do have the Nopify into the Nopify, so this is sort of that very slim scenario where Xiramus is actually going to be able to resolve this card, but doesn't have any additional buffs. It's really going to come down to what comes out of this deep meditation. Can I get this Lee Sin up to 10 attack? But even then, there's a deny for the Dragon's Rage.
That's what I was going to say. At the end of the day, regardless of what Xiramus is able to get down onto this Lee Sin, we do have the deny on the Dragon's Rage, which means it's just they're going to bump uglies, they're going to get rid of the barriers, and that's going to give...
the worst way you could have said that.
Means BBG is going to be the last one to get the final word, so to speak, on his attack turn, assuming Brajkata doesn't draw a response. But they both have deep med too, right? So this...
Oh, and this was almost so good from Xiramus. Says, you know what? My Dragon's Rage is going to pop the spell shield, and then I am going to hit the Lee Sin, but has the deep med to get 2 spells to guarantee that barrier onto it. And yeah, the deny going to be the second spell. And this does mean that, Xiramus might have to pop his own deep med just to give this barrier. But, I mean, how much does the health of your Lee Sin actually matter in this scenario? BBG's doesn't have Overwhelm. So unless the Dragon's Rage goes off, you're not
taking... Does that do anything? That's just a spell shield. Never mind.
That doesn't do anything. Yeah. If the deny wasn't coming out onto the Dragon's Rage, it would at least reset the Lee Sin, send it back to hand. But even that, I don't think has an outcome or
I got
an
so
impact on the
excited
outcome
by
of this game.
that hush. Like, I really thought that might have been one of the cards, if not the only card to get him out of this. But yeah, that's not going to do anything, unfortunately. Got to have something to get rid of that spell shield first. And barriers getting bumped here. And now we got Dragon's Rage looking like it's going to come down next turn. We're not going to have priority either. So Brachkata, yeah.
No, BBG has like the perfect 2 cards in this Guiding Touch Pale Cascade to sort of get everything online this turn. And the Pale Cascade probably even going to go on one of these Eye of the Dragons to try and present another
Yeah,
lethal
I don't
attack.
see why not. It seems like the easiest way to kind of guarantee lethal right here.
Well, you don't even have to go for the barrier. You can just, play this Guiding Touch, see where we go from here. And now if anything is left unblocked on the side of BBG, it is going to be a lethal attacker. We do have the Hush for a little bit of counterplay in that regard. But, I mean, we don't have an answer for this Dragon's Rage. And, yeah, none are coming.
No. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Dragon's Rage. This is going to all but seal the deal for BBG. Going to take game 1 here versus Xiramus in this spectacular Lee Sin mirror match.
Come on, man. You can sound a little more excited than that.
Well, that's
Say it
like
you mean it.
in chat was like, man, it feels bad. Shit just works, just got pretty hyped. And like, I'm looking, guys. I am looking. I am searching and seeking for these hype moments in the Lee Sin mirror. We just did not quite find it there. Oh, man. So BBG going up 1-0. And that means we're going into the side decking portion. So is nobody playing Infinite Mind Splitter in the side deck?
I know that Xiramus is not. I know that we saw a couple of Lee Sin players trying it out. I don't think anybody who had that strategy made it to the top, unless BBG does. I closed out a Runeterra ban trying to switch over to the tab. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, Tasty Fey Folk, the only unit coming out of BBG's side, so not going to be an option for the Infinite Mind Splitter. 3 Will of Ionia, Concussive Palm. Concussive Palm has, sort of questionable usage in a matchup like this. The 2 Bastion, the 2 Divergent Paths. How much does Divergent Paths matter in the Lee Sin mirror?
Wait, hold on. Am I? Wait, is this the card that I'm thinking? Are you trolling me right now? Wait, yeah. Divergent Paths is you either draw a landmark or kill a landmark, right?
Oh, I was thinking of
okay. I was like, wait, am I getting trolled by Boulevard, like testing my knowledge on Divergent Paths?
No, I just forgot what the card did. What's the name of that card?
Astral Projection. Oh,
the one,
there we go.
Yeah, that's the one. Astral Projection.
Astral Projection.
BBG doesn't side that one. I don't even like my question anymore. I'm just gonna back it up and take it off the table. You're not allowed to answer it.
I plan on not answering.
I don't care what you think of
Astral
Projection.
Overall, that card though I think is really, really good. Like I that's like sleeper OP. It's very similar to the 4-mana 4/4 Fury of the North because it's healing for 4 and then gaining 4. So
yeah. So I think that the retreats out of Xiramus are sort of the biggest question mark in the way that this matchup is going to play out. How much do we get the Nopifies going back and forth?
It's Astral Protection. Astral Protection, not Projection. Same thing.
No. We got the Brokeback Protector. We got Krusty Krab.
Betty Croker.
We
don't say any card name as that's the next level casting. That's that next level. We know all the card. Yeah.
We don't have to memorize the card names if we just make them up close enough that you have an idea of what we're talking about.
We have the regular set of cards memorized, and then we have our set of cards memorized.
We have the normal cards that you normal people have to play with. But us casters up here in our ivory tower, we have our own special set of cards like Astral Projection and Betty
I was going to switch the camera before you stopped. You guys couldn't see it, but Boulevard was doing the princess wave.
I was doing the princess wave.
With his hand cupped. So... Oh man, we're gonna write a book and just rename all of these cards. Oh man. So yeah, it looks like both players taking some time to go through these side deck options here. Have we seen Xiramus make any changes? Has anybody been paying attention? Anything?
Well, he's hit save changes, so I'm sure he put something in there. I mean, retreat theoretically does come in for the Lee Sin matchup as a way to dodge that OTK. So I'd be a little surprised if he didn't put those in. Maybe there are a lot of times because side deck formats are kind of weird to test, and sometimes your testing isn't sort of a perfect mirror of the tournament environment where you bring, and you don't always get to test everything, and testing mirrors can be a little draining on both participants. So it is possible that you sit down, you theorize it, you go, okay, retreat is good in the mirror, it dodges the OTK. And then over the course of the day, you actually get to put it in your deck, and you say, this isn't actually doing what I wanted it to do. Let me stop putting it in.
All right. Well, we'll see if Retreat is going to come in big in this matchup. It looks like if the deck list is in fact in alphabetical order, there are no Retreat. So I'm trying to see what it looks like. Was there another concussive palm subbed in maybe?
Yeah, I don't think he had any of those in game
and
number
it
1.
does also look like is Nopify out as well? Let me see. Yeah, there's no Nopify, so he did take the Nopify out as well. So I'm curious to see if BBG made that same choice. We don't see any Nopify in BBG's starting hand, so we'll see if that was also a decision made by BBG. And here we have the Zed again. So this... All right, so we have the Zed early again with BBG, which is always good to start off with that early aggression. That is, definitely an advantage. However, Brach Kata has Lee Sin already in hand, so this might be a much different game from that first game that we saw because we will get a very early Lee Sin seemingly to stick to the board here.
I think Xiramus might have been contemplating, what do I want to discard to this Spacey Sketcher to block this Zed? So here's a question. If you hush this Zed to deny the level up, first of all, I don't even know if that works. Because we've seen units like Sejuani and Gangplank that are like, okay, well, at the end of the day, you did deal damage over the course of 5 rounds. I am still going to level here. I don't know if Zed at the end of the turn goes, well, I did strike twice. In which case, like, if you hush, let's say that, for argument's sake, that the hush does prevent the Zed level up. Would it not have been better to discard the hush to the Spacey
I guess if that's how it works. But I don't think it's going to
I don't know for sure, though. We might find out here. I mean, you might hush it here to prevent the second one, but I mean, you're still going to eat 5 damage at that point. It is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, so if you do proactively hush it, then you prevent the second one from coming out, which essentially does the same thing as preventing the level up, kind of. Although it doesn't prevent the 1 tick from going through, as opposed to preventing 2 ticks. So I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be difficult. I don't see why we don't. Don't we just drop the Lee Sin here? It kind of just staves off the entire attack, no? Oh, sorry, never mind.
You'll have 1 mana left, and
I completely ignored
seeing
this Mentor of the Stones on the field. So never mind. That's going to be a big boy Zed, and that's going to make things a lot more difficult for Xiramus. And although we have the Lee Sin, now the problem is going to become, again, it is an advantage to have the Zed first or early, but it's always who gets the Lee Sin first, usually who wins. But on the flip side, if you have the Zed early, the problem with your opponent getting down the Lee Sin is going to be, can you keep up the tempo? Can you keep aggroing your opponent to prevent them from playing the Lee Sin?
Okay. I thought there was, not... I think there was a universe where, you throw something out like Hush Pale Cascade, actually kill the Zed, but decides that is a little bit too risky. Although I'm actually hard-pressed to imagine what it lost to, as a Pale Cascade wouldn't save the Zed. Maybe we just don't care about the Zed. We'll take it out with the Lee Sin on the following turn. It's not a problem.
Yeah, we could see a Messenger come down just for the draw. It looks like that is the route Xiramus is going to take here. And we got plenty of ways to protect this Zed, too. We even have another Zed in hand. That is a Zed Shadow Shift there. So we'll see if that's going to come in handy. Generally speaking, the additional copies of Zed don't come in handy if the first one gets removed. So,
I mean, we mentioned the possibility of side decking Retreat in this matchup. Shadow Shift fills the same function.
Well, if we can keep... So we have to keep the Zed on the field to keep the Shadow Shift, though, which is the unfortunate part. And okay, Concussive Palm, that was definitely... That had to have been subbed in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think either of these players were actually main decking that, but I only have BBG's side deck pulled up. Let me go back to the main deck.
Okay, let's just... We have the chance to get to... Yeah, wow, this is so much value. When do you get to see...
He does main deck 2-palm.
See 2 Mentors go off on the same turn, and it looks like BBG... He main decks 2-palm?
Yeah, Xiramus does not main deck any palm, but BBG did main deck 2.
BBG actually considering buffing 1 Mentor with the other Mentor, basically making it not able to trade with the Messenger, but then the Lee Sin would be able to get a free trade off on it. I kind of like that, I'm not going to lie, just because if the Lee Sin does block it... no, because actually then the Lee Sin gets a free trade, so I like it this way. I do like it this way. We are hushing, so there is going to be... All right, so this will answer our question as to if this one attack... Or never mind, not if he blocks both.
It doesn't, because there's nothing that BBG can do to prevent this Zed from dying.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, the Zed's gonna die. Man, I really wanted the answer to that question. I wanted that official in real life. See how that resolves, but nope, not gonna happen.
You know, as I was pulling up BBG's deck list, shit just works. I thought of something. I thought of some new Runeterra content. Some never before seen stuff.
Oh God.
ASMR, but it's you whispering the deck code.
Wow, that's some next level thinking. This is all right. We got to do this. Where's the business plan? Are we doing this?
Hey, chat. Do you want to get to Masters?
Wow. All right. Who wouldn't want to pay to listen to Boulevard ASMAR deck codes?
Just whisper deck codes at you that are in Masters. Decks of Runeterra, hire me.
See, that's some next level. That's some 2030 thinking right there.
Yeah, you guys aren't ready for that yet.
But all right. So we have back to the non-ASMR game. we can ASMR a cast one day. We should do that.
Yeah, this game is rough on the eyes. So let me be soft on your ears.
Oh man, Jesus. So all right, we have Lee Sin down pretty low though on the side of Xiramus. Good thing though in this matchup is there's really no way that BBG is going to be able to damage this Lee Sin, so it's still pretty safe.
Yeah. Outside of the 2 Hush in his hand that turn off the barrier.
Yeah, those 2 Hush are going to come in big. So any combat damage will probably end up killing this Lee Sin at some point. So I think this is...
Well, we don't have the Notify, so this Zenith Blade might actually get to go off here. In which case, I will be healthy enough.
There is also 2 Deny in hand.
You know,
I'm just noticing that on Xiramus' side. So I feel like, yeah, I think you're right. I think we maybe open with the Zenith Blade. And, you know, if you took out Notify, I imagine BBG, you probably assume that your opponent took out Notify. So I think you're pretty safe to play this. And that does put the Lee Sin in a better spot as far as... actually, if you... Oh, no, you use the Guiding Touch to heal your face. Never mind. I was going to say maybe it could survive an attack, but it doesn't look like it.
I mean, with double Mentor, I don't blame you. That is still a lot of damage, and we do see, you know, another Zed in BBG's hand as well as 2 of these goats. That double Hush. I mean, BBG just, you know, 2 Notify in the first game, 2 Hush in the second game. Just really having a lot work out for him here.
There's a goat. So now if one of these mentors dies, it won't overload the hand of BBG. So there's a start. Now, I guess the question on the side of Brach Kata is taking that into consideration. Do you challenge one of these mentors, or do you try to get this Tail of the Dragon off the field?
I think you have to go for the mentors because it does demand Hush as well as another spell. Whereas if you try to kill this Tail of the Dragon and a Hush comes out, I don't think you can get the Lee Sin back to safety. Also, the Tails isn't as big a threat as the Mentor. You can just block that with a Dragon Link, but as the Mentors start to ramp up the rest of your board, that's when it becomes a problem.
What is the meditation getting? We have another Hush and another Concussive Bomb. Both good versus Lee Sin, but no Lee Sin yet still for BBG.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what gets pulled here. I think you're right. I think you do have to go for the Mentor. I mean, okay, so now on the side of BBG, we only have to push 9 damage. Is there a world where we can just go for like a Zed lethal next turn with all these gems?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, even not necessarily being a Zed, but just, you know, 6 attackers.
Yeah, and you will get at least 1 guaranteed Mentor off again to give +2/+2 to something. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good.
Yeah, and giving that over to the Zed does sort of represent a +4/+4, which with your opponent this low is scary. We do have the Concussive Palm, though. So, I mean, that can get met with this Bastion. It's really weird, like, kind of looking back and forth between the hands, and this is why I think it's really important to have 2 hands in a matchup like this, where you're just kind of looking to line up answers with answers. And if we don't know what answers BBG has, you know, it's a lot harder to do, but here we do see, you know, Concussive Palm, that gets hit with a Bastion. What's the answer for that? I mean, we have a Hush. We can pop the Spell Shield with that. But you probably are looking to get a little bit more value out of this Hush elsewhere rather than, you know, using it to stave off a Spell Shield to try and survive the turn with a Concussive Palm.
Wow, okay. Passing. Okay. I mean, obviously you got to have Hush in mind if you're going to be passing like that. You probably don't want to go head first into a Hush, but Yeah.
And you probably, yeah, you open with the Palm here to try to get that additional blocker. I think this gets the Bastion. And then it's kind of a question of, do you hush that on the side of Xiramus?
Yeah, and that, I mean, honestly, I think that works out decently for for BBG if we do get the hush, because just getting the hush out in general, I think, is good. Whereas now BBG is up to hush, so BBG could potentially just play a little bit of a longer game, waiting for the Lee Sin to come, because eventually he should be able to kill the Lee Sin that's on field from Brachkata when it comes in for an attack with a hush.
Is this the
Yes.
second hush out of Xiramus as well? Yeah, so just totally out of that card. One of the best
there's
answers
three.
for the Lee
There's
Sin,
three.
totally offline for Xiramus. Oh, there's
Yep.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which I imagine BBGs did the same exact thing as
Okay,
well.
so-
So
Yeah, not totally out, and I'm a little surprised to see the Will of Ionia coming from BBG. There's not a lot to pop Bastions in this matchup, and maybe maybe that is what we're eventually going to see, is just a Will of Ionia and the Hush is thrown out to pop the Bastion. But I mean, Xiramus has the cards, Xiramus has the Lee Sin, doesn't have the board, he doesn't have the life total. Generally in these matchups, it feels like the life total doesn't matter as much because you can get to the one-shot ranges pretty easily.
no, I agree. I mean, at this point in this matchup, you can do 20-0, so it's you're not actually concerned about whittling your opponent down. But we are only going to attack with one mentor, going to get the buff onto the Zed, not going to attack with both, kind of maximizing the damage that we can do. And let's see how these blocks are lined up. This Lee Sin could be walking into just dying here, depending on what Xiramus leads with. Really the only... I mean, he has Bastion, so Bastion could counter one of these hushes here. But if he doesn't proactively Bastion, then it won't matter. So like if the Lee Sin goes to block either like the tail or the goat and then it gets hushed,
yeah,
then it would die.
Yeah.
So the only way that Brachkata could block and avoid that is proactively bastioning for the hush.
Gotcha. Okay. But even then, like, there's two hushes. I think it's a little bit more likely that Xiramus is going to commit his mana to hushing the Zed, get that off the board, take that secondary threat off of my opponent. But I mean, a lot of the board is currently set to survive, and I think we're going to see the hush on the Lee Sin. Maybe, Xiramus kind of deciding, okay, these blocks aren't great for BBG. Let me see what he's going to play before I decide how to commit the last little bit of mana that I have.
Yeah, I saw that will in BBG's hand too, and I was like, yeah, all right, you can just will the tail and you're good. Well, no, he's only got 2 mana, so unfortunately not going to be an option here. So I do think you're right.
And now I think you have to hush the Zed just because you are losing your major threat in this Lee Sin.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. We're going to get so many gems here too. Only 2 this turn, but we still have the mentors that haven't popped. So when we do get a Lee Sin, it's a big Lee Sin.
Loaded up a Tommy gun full of gems, just fire them off in a roundhouse.
Wow.
What a weird scene that
so
would
just letting that go through there, not taking the opportunity to kill this Zed. Very curious to see how that turns out for Brachkata. Really only losing 2 life thanks to the Dragonling there, but this is going to be risky. No Lee Sin, no Zed on board. Things are looking good for BBG.
Now imagine if he also had to dig for a Crystal Ibex.
Right,
Never mind, he found a Zed right off the top. I mean, there's still a Hush and a Will of Ionia in BBG's hand. Okay. There's Hush number 3 for Xiramus. Definitely might regret not using the Hush on the Zed last turn, because that is still a big problem to deal with. And sure, you can reset the stats on it with the Hush and try to block it, but the Shadow, over in that 6th unit slot is still going to have all of those stats. And now it's in 1-shot range. That'll be an 8 attack Shadow coming at you. Things still not feeling great for Xiramus. I am a little questionable about how he played that last turn, but I'm going to try and move on from it and figure out how he gets himself out of the hole that he is now in. A concussive palm on the side of BBG is scary. It's so hard to maintain spell mana in this matchup. It's hard to
think in this matchup. Like, even as a caster, we're looking at both hands, and every card you play will have some sort of response or different outplay from your opponent. So I can only imagine, all the different lines going through Xiramus or BBG's head. There's so many different ways to play each turn, and it's very difficult to try to think of what do I actually play around on the side of my opponent versus what do I just not care about right now. It's just hard, especially with the hushes. It's really hard to play around a 2-mana hush. Now it's at 2 mana and it is only a 1 of. It's just like you always have to worry about it in every combat. And I don't know if you can ever really do what you want in any given turn. Mountain goat. Goat hitting the field. There we go.
You hear that? Brady's back, boys. He's in the field.
Brady's in Tampa now, unfortunately, with Gronk.
Is he? I don't know.
Tom Brady and Gronk both went to Tampa. Tom Brady went to Tampa, and Gronk retired, and then was like, "Oh, Brady's in Tampa. Florida sounds cool. Let's go to Florida."
The only thing I know about football is that there was a Super Bowl where I was in college. A team had a player named Beast Mode and just didn't give this guy the ball for every play, and then lost. That's literally, I'm like, oh, you just have a dude named Beast Mode and you didn't give him the ball? What are you, dumb?
Yeah, that was Seattle, I think. It was against the Pats, and they were on the only football fact I had to pass it instead of run it. It's like, what? Why? Oh man, but we do see the Zenith Blade come out onto the Zed, so this is a little bit of a threat now, but we do, obviously see the hush still on BBG's side, but like you said, 8 attack Zed incoming like a beast, as well as probably a really strong Lee Sin. Now that this Lee Sin is on the board on the side of BBG, you gotta think this is probably a good spot, because now there is 2 hushes though. There's a hush for the Zed and there's a hush for the Lee Sin. I just don't think you can kill both.
No, you definitely can't kill both. That'd be crazy talk, especially with these 2 deny that Xiramus does seem to be stuck on, but Lee Sin now going to say, pass me the rock, and that's going to level him up. Go in beast mode over here, going to be able to kick one of these units.
I was thinking of this earlier. Although deny is useful to deny Dragon's Rage and maybe a concussive palm, or a Zenith Blade for that matter, I don't know if you really like deny in this matchup. Like, it seems like BBG might have sided those out. Or did we see one played earlier? Really early? I don't think so.
Oh man, I'm on like my 4th Lee Sin mirror of the day, and you're asking me to recall specifics from this game, not even this series.
I don't know. I just don't think deny is that great in this matchup.
It's definitely got a lot of uses. It does look really unfortunate here, but I mean, deny will save him. And actually doesn't even need to deny to stay healthy, but I do think that you might as well. I don't see what else you're doing with your mana this turn. I don't see this deny really getting a lot of value later on.
Yeah, and now the question is, do you deny and hush the other Zed? I think you do.
I think you want to start off hushing the Zed and trying to kill that with your Zed, because it will go back down to a 3-2. Mm-hmm. Your Zed is a 4-4. We can kind of go from there, because as long as you're surviving all of this, no, it's actually just going to be the deny. I'm really
surprised we are not seeing these hushes come out onto the Zed from Xiramus here. It's crazy to me. And, okay, yeah, we're just going to let this attack go through then. So it's actually interesting. So BBG, I don't know if Bratchcat had tried passing it back to see if something else would get done. BBG may be picking up on that if that was the case and not playing the Resonating Strike, because we could have pushed 2 more damage with that Resonating Strike, but I guess not really needing to. Obviously, like you said, we have Lee Sin, so what are we really worried about our opponent's life total for?
Yeah, and this is actually, 2 gems missed out on the side of Xiramus. 1 failed to pop out of the mentor, and then the Mountain Goat didn't get another one. But BBG not going to fall for the same trap. Going to gem himself down to 3 mana. See where we can go from here. I mean, this is sort of an impossible situation for Xiramus.
Unless we had like something like a Lee Sin top deck. But even with the hush in BBG's hand, I don't think, even with Xiramus having 2 hushes, you'd think Xiramus might have the advantage with those 2 hushes, but we haven't used them. Like, we gotta go back, and I know you mentioned this too a few turns ago, the original turn where we could have hushed the Zed. Now we just had another turn where we could have hushed and killed the Zed. We're not taking advantage of these hushes, maybe just really wanting to save them to kill the Lee Sin, maybe thinking, all right, we're not going to win unless we kill this Lee Sin off the field, so we need to use it on that. And now we just have the Zenith Blade onto possibly the Zed, give it Overwhelm. Not sure. Maybe it looks like he's just going in to try to kill this Lee Sin here.
All right. I mean, this 10 damage Zed play was kind of cool early in the turn. It's not happening this time, Xiramus. That was such a special scenario, and it looks like, see, this is what I don't like. Why are we going in to kill this Zed when we had Hush to kill the Zed last time?
I don't know. I mean, and now the thing is too, the reason why it was so good previously playing that Hush is because you had a unit assigned as a blocker or whatever to actually go into combat. Yeah, and it would have killed it. Now, sure. All right, let's say this just goes through and nothing happens on side of BBG. You only have a Zed left, and even if you Hush something like the Lee Sin, your Zed won't kill it. So I don't understand what the thought process is here by Xiramus, but we'll see. It's not over yet. And all right, well, there's the Hush, and we also didn't have the proactive Bastion come out either.
Proactive Bastion wouldn't have mattered. The Will of Ionia on the side of BBG would have still returned. This I don't understand. Like the fact that you are now trading your second Zed for your opponent's Zed, you're left with no blockers into this massive field, unless BBG, actually even with that mountain goat played, if BBG, doesn't open attack, you get to stun the Lee Sin and then block that 7-3. You're still dead on board.
I think what's happening, what we are witnessing here, is Xiramus having too many things to think about. And I say that because there is a lot of different lines, like I mentioned earlier, in this particular matchup. And I think Xiramus is maybe overthinking things like, no, but I can use the Hush on something else. And just, it's like overload at this point. And is just like, all right, whatever. I guess now we're just going to use it because we're dead anyways. So,
I mean, even just, you look at the hands and what each player has left, and you just have to feel like BBG has utilized his cards more effectively. Xiramus has more of them, and he's going to
cards are no good if you don't use them, said a wise man once.
There's nothing funnier to me than players dying with 5 counter spells
it's
in hand.
The whole thing. We talk about this all the time, of getting future value off of a card, and it just didn't really work out this time around. We are very much dead on the side of Xiramus, no matter which way you play it. And
what?
Wait.
I mean, so good news on a couple fronts. Number one, BBG is going to pick up his second Duels of Runeterra.
Oh, it's only 2.
I wanted to go back and check to see if this was 3, but yeah, apparently he's only won 1 before. So he will be joining the 2 club, joining Fresh Lobster and a couple of other high-profile names. Winding God remains the only one to have those 3 victories, unless I missed a win from Lobster, which is possible. It's not what I was looking for there. But it does mean that NA picks up 2 victories this weekend, baby. CDS fall and BBG are your Duels of Runeterra champions.
And BBG, picking up a win there. Congratulations to the man, the myth, the legend, Bruised by God. If you guys haven't heard of him, well, here you go. This is Bruised by God. If you didn't hear, he's pretty good at the game. He's like okay. He's aight. So pretty cool to see Bruised by God take it home there. All right, and BBG has done it. That's win number 2. Win number 2. And we also have an interview that we had with BBG. So if you guys aren't usually watching the casts live on my Twitch channel, and the Twitch will also be in the description below, so go ahead, give me a follow, check it out. That way next time we are live for a Duels of Runeterra or any other tournament for that matter, we did an interview right after the tournament. I don't think that's going to end up on the channel for the time being, but typically we do try to interview winners of tournaments if possible, and it was pretty cool to have him on to get interviewed and answer some of our questions about his deck decisions and whatnot. So basically what I'm getting at is, why weren't you there? Because if you were there, you'd know about the interview. You would have been there for the interview. You would have heard the interview. So get your ass to the streams while we're casted the day of. God, catch up. But anyways, everybody, as always, thank you for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and, oh, by the way, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.